look at the East course here, designed by Strano for the 2013 Tire Rack Solo National Championships. This course is quite open in a number of spots, but also quite narrow and quite hard to get out of a few turns, but if you do it right, you're going to set yourself up well for a good time. So here from the start, what we want to be looking for is the fact that the start lights are actually angled at the corners, which is a little bit different than what a normal course would be, where you'd be going around the corner first. So be aware of that and make sure that you're crossing that line as late as possible, but also tight. So as we take off, we're going to want to make a turn around the cones on the right at the start there. We have to be careful to not get too greedy on our start here, because if we push out beyond those two cones out towards this chalk line on the left, we're going to be setting ourselves up really bad to make this next acceleration zone. So as we come around those cones, make sure that you take it easy so you can get a good start. We're going to be looking down to the left there. We've got the double pointer number 124 that we're going to be focusing our attention on as soon as we make that turn after the start. And one of the other things you can look for is the gaps between the third and fourth cones as a place to point your car. So as you move forward on the course here, heading down through the start area. Okay, so as you come into the first turns here, you're going to want to look way over to the left and pick up cone number 128 as you're coming past cones 113 and 114 to start. As you move forward and you come out of this turn, you're going to want the car far right to be able to set up the section through Diamonds Are Forever, looking way ahead to cone number 200 as you come through there. Over here, we want to have the car set up far right along the wall in order to set ourselves up well to head towards the exit of Diamonds Are Forever, looking ahead to cone number 200 as we come around here. Now once we get up here, we're looking for this opening to occur between cones number 200 and 208. And as that opening becomes visible to you, that is the time when you start getting on the gas pedal hard to head down towards the next turn. So the man with the golden cone, we want to be making sure that as we come out of that last turn, we're looking over to that far left cone with the circle. And then as we start moving forward, we're going to pick up the cone to the right with the circle as a place to aim the car at. We want to be looking at cone number 222 to help set ourselves up to make this turn. So as we're looking over to cone 222, look at the angle of the two pointer cones that are laying down on that and try to think in your mind that you want to get on the same line as the direction those cones are pointing. So as we come into the main part of the man with the golden cone, we want to move our attention over to cone number 223, which is the first cone of the first portion of this long slalom. There's a 3-cone slalom followed by a 4-cone slalom. You want to allow the car to come out to the cone wall, be able to set yourself up into the slalom. As you come around the turn into the slalom, what we're really trying to think of is a nice big sweeper through this 3-cone slalom that's originated back in the man with the golden cone, and not really looking at it so much as a slalom as the end of the sweeper. As we move into the next portion, we've got the 4-cone slalom that start with cones 226 and 227. We want to focus on both of those cones so that we see the line of the slalom, but we need to also be careful of cone 225, which has never been in our vision at all, and we want to avoid hitting that cone, of course. The important thing is to really make sure that we're backsighting that first cone of the slalom, which is cone number 226, because our exit out of this slalom is going to be very, very important. As we come down towards the end of the slalom, we're going to need to think about lifting in order to help get ourselves set up to initiate the turn. And so we're probably going to be looking at the third cone from the right in the wall in an effort to help us get set up for that turn. So as we come into Casino Royale, the thing to keep in mind is that this turn is off camber some, and it's also going to be a really big braking zone, as this is going to be a tight turn. Where we've got the circle drawn is where we want to think about placing the car. We need to get the car out to the outside wall, but what you need to be doing is making sure that you've got the car slowed down enough so that you're accelerating out to that wall rather than having the car pushing out to that wall. Alright, so as we come out of the hard part of Casino Royale and we've put the car out to that outside edge, we're going to have a pretty fast section heading into the next hard turn, basically, which is the beginning of the next section. We want to make sure that we get ready to set up on cone number 325. The cone before that, which is 324, is inset quite a bit, so if you turn in on that too early, you're going to pinch yourself off at the exit. As we move forward in the turn, what we need to look at next is the Wallums. The first Wallum really doesn't matter other than we don't want to hit those cones. So the first important cone to look at is cone number 340, which is in the second of the Wallums. Once we get turned around the corner, we realize that it's really just a 3-cone slalom made up of cones 340, 341, and 405. It's quite interesting. Sam did a great job here. He put 18 cones out there and really only 3 of them matter. As we come around out of that slalom, we're going to be looking at cone number 410, which is in the 6-pack chute. We want to make sure that we're basically carrying so much speed out of that last section that we're going to turn as if we're going to hit 410 and allow the car to just slide right out down towards the gate in the middle. But we also want to move our attention way ahead to the pointer cone on the corner down at the next section. So as we come into Die Another Day, please, we want to find a nice straight braking zone. So where we've got the arrow drawn on the left, you want to be focusing on getting a nice straight braking zone there, looking towards cones 413, which is the cone on the inside edge, as well as 425, which defines the outside of our exit. As we're coming down into Die Another Day, we want to try to move our attention ahead to the section way over to the right in order to give ourselves an idea of how tight that exit is out of Die Another Day. So as we've done that hard braking, we want to make sure that we've got the car slowed down so much that by the time we're passing the 413 to 415 combo, we're on the accelerator hard, and we're looking down towards cone number 426, because we kind of want to get in on the back side of that in order to set ourselves up for the 428 to 430 cone combo turn. So as we're driving up through there, we want to move our attention over to the left and start picking up the slalom in the next section. So coming into the shaken, not stirred slalom, we've determined that we want to go in on the left-hand side, so to the inside of the first cone of the slalom. The reason for that is we're already having to slow the car way down anyway to make this turn, so we might as well take advantage of that slow point in an effort to get onto the inside of the slalom. The benefit we're going to gain is coming out of the slalom, we're going to be over to the right. That's going to open up that turn a lot more than if we come out on the inside. And you'll see in a couple of slides here why that is. We also want to focus on the fact that there are some low spots right around the first cone of the slalom, which is cone 500. If it does happen to rain this week, those are going to puddle up, and it could be something that you're going to have to take into account. As we work our way through the slalom, we want to really focus on getting in behind cone number 502, so we're probably going to need to lift or something like that in order to get the car set up over to the right coming out of this. The other thing you see in this slide is that if we did come out on the left side of that last cone, number 503, that left-hand turn now is really hard, and we're going to have to give up a bunch to make that left-hand turn, versus coming out on the right, it opens it up a lot. As we're working our way through the slalom, we need to be moving our attention way across the course to the next part of the exit of the turn. As we come out of the slalom, we're looking over towards cone number 515, which is going to be the kind of defining cone as to the speed that we can carry out of the slalom. We also want to start moving our attention all the way across the next turn, the live and let die turn, to pick up the exit so we see how tight that turn is. So as we come around the tight part of live and let die, the 516 to 518 combo, we want to be looking to the first 2 cones of the slalom after this whole turn. We don't necessarily need to be on those 3 cones, and we also want to pay attention to the exit of this turn. Look for the opening between cones number 531 and 532. You're going to find that you're going to want to be way out to the left in an effort to set up the slalom. So as we come into this slalom, we need to be paying attention to cone number 600. As always, we need to get in behind cone number 533, which is the first cone of the slalom, but we really need to make sure that we're backsideing cone number 600 and working our way over to the right where the chalk line is circled at. As we come over onto that chalk line, we're going to be going either far right of the chalk line or at least getting your right-hand tires to the chalk line. As always, your line is going to be dictated on what everybody else has done. But we're going to be looking at cone number 605, which is the first of the 2 offsets for the finish, and then also moving our attention over to the final offset before the finish. As we work our way through, then we want to pick up the cones on the left side at the finish, and there's going to be some lifts or brakes needed for both of these in an effort to set it up and accelerate through the finish. The big thing at this finish is it's a fairly short distance and there's a very narrow exit. So you want to make sure that you do not hit cone number 639, which is after the finish. The last thing you need is to have the run of your life and then take out the cone after the finish because you're busy congratulating yourself. So this East Course by Sam Strano looks like it's going to be a great course, lots of fun. You definitely have a lot of room to hang yourself as there's some big open spaces out there. But if you do it correctly and you're able to accelerate out of the tight turns, you're going to have a great day. This has been Ron Bauer talking about the Sam Strano designed East Course at the 2013 SCCA Tire Rack Solo Nationals.